Jane has agreed to read the land acknowledgement because we're trying to share that load and just make it a bit more real. So Jane.
We would like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Ktunaxa, the Syilx, and the Sinixt peoples, and is home to the Métis and many diverse Aboriginal persons. We honor their connection to the land and rivers and respect the importance of the environment to our strength as a community.
So we can carry on with this meeting and get to the second agenda. It's a consent agenda, and in that we have the meeting agenda, the minutes of the October meeting, and the action list. And I hope everybody has had a chance to look at all that. And if there's no issues with anything, I would like to move that we accept the consent agenda as presented. So I need a mover and a seconder. Devin and Derek. Okay. Moving right along. Business arising, well, we don't have anything from the October meeting, so we can move right on to the chief's report.
Should be submitted.
You want to go over it though? Because it was just like I haven't had a chance to even look at it.
Okay.
Oh, that one, yeah. I do.
Okay, there's not too much on my update other than the next BC ACP and AMCP meetings are planned for later this month, so the end of November. I've been asked to chair the steering committee for the BC ACP Cybercrime Conference and Workshop, and that sort of stems a bit from my chairing the BC ACP Cybercrime Committee. And the idea behind that was just trying to get a sense of, what the pressures and what the draw on all the municipal departments across the province are for the various levels of cybercrime. And there's quite an array of potential crimes that are classified as cybercrime, from relatively small online frauds up until ransomware, and we've seen some of the major companies and hospitals and government agencies be hacked into, and data breaches and identity theft and pieces like that. So it's becoming quite a huge problem across the whole globe, and certainly the smaller agencies have a lot of capacity issues, and on top of that, the level of expertise that's needed to investigate cyber crimes with any level of success. So again, we're looking at, as the municipal departments as a whole, how can we work together, and hopefully with some cooperation with the RCMP that has federal cybercrime teams and stuff, what's best for the departments, and where are we going to get the most effective piece, at least to start with, because there's just too much to tackle all at once, and then build on capacity from there. So the cybercrime workshop, I should mention, is set for November 2025, and that'll be sort of the first training opportunity for a lot of departments to send junior or new members on. Again, give them some of those basic skills that they can take back to their departments, and update their officers that when you get this type of call, these are the kind of initial steps you should take and the initial information you should gather, so that if and when we are able to get that technical support and that specialized training and investigators to come in, they have a good solid starting point. So again, it's, we're not going to be able to make everybody a cybercrime investigators, and probably going to be difficult in the smaller departments to actually have anyone technically capable, but at least if they can sort of gather that first bit of information and preserve the evidence that's available, that's kind of the key first step, just awareness. I believe it was reported on the paper, so you may all be aware, but myself and the deputy attended the Nelson Chamber of Commerce meeting last week, Tuesday, October 30th. Generally just, it's kind of a regular meeting that we have with the chamber just to kind of keep in touch with the business community and get some feedback about where some of the sort of real key concerns are and the trends that they're seeing, that they're, wishing some either extra patrols, some assistance, some ideas on how to deal with some of the crime trends as of late. The crimes are still, although we've had a couple of violent incidents downtown, still fairly isolated, luckily, and sort of few and far between. But they were significant events that got some attention, and certainly, some people were alarmed at what they witnessed, and the officers have been in fairly physical confrontations, and one of the business owners had to kind of step in and help as well. So we addressed that, and but really we focused on the concerns around the habitual or chronic offenders that we continue to deal with, and continue to do what I would say are good investigations and submitting good packages to the Crown and to the JPs for review, charge approval, and then bail hearing that we're asking for detention of these people. And we're still finding that a very uphill battle to have, people that have committed multiple offenses having been held in custody. So we've got some plans to do some follow-up with the regional Crown, as well as potentially the JP hearing office after we talk to the Crown and sort of get a game plan as to what the best way to approach that is. But certainly the impact that a couple of individuals are having on the town is significant, and it doesn't seem like there's really the reciprocity on the justice side of things to deal with or acknowledge that level of crime and impact. And if I have to say, negative impact. So again, that was sort of the crux of the meeting. But I was quite happy with the group of business owners, and a few citizens were very supportive of the department, realizing that, we're doing what we can and essentially going above and beyond in a lot of cases, trying to deal with some of these issues. But, they are frustrated, and rightfully so. So we'll continue to work on that. Do you have anything to add on that meeting?
If I can say something about that relationship with the police and Crown, like I know for the last 30-some years, it's always been that issue. So it's not anything new, and I'm just wondering if there is a solution. Like I don't know what holds them back from, like if we have restrictions. I have no idea.
Yeah, it is a bit complicated as to, they have certain sort of parameters and rules that they have to follow too. And, I would say our concern here is the initial bail hearings. The Crown doesn't run them. We run our own bail hearings most of the time, unless it happens to be a court day or something, because of the restrictions on how long somebody can stay in custody before they're brought before a justice, a JP, or the judge. So we tend to run our own hearings, but it's the bail hub office that we have some concern with. And I think, being remote and being in Lake Kelowna, for example, they deal with a lot of property offenses and stuff. So it's not, maybe at times it's not recognized the impact that
small community.
And that's not to say that there isn't concern in Kelowna per se either, because we've seen presentations at BCACP where City Council has been, really trying to get things turned around a bit on those chronic property crime offenders to be held in custody as well, because they have some significant offenders that cause, real issues and harm to their community as well. So, I would say it's across the country problem that we, as the police, continue to struggle with to reinforce, real impact of property crimes, and that it needs to be taken a little more seriously.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else have any questions of the chief?
Might be a dumb question, but can I be of any help with any of the cybercrime stuff?
Possibly.
Yeah, just contact me. I'd love to be involved. Totally cool stuff for me.
Yeah.
Much more interesting than my day.
No, and I have thought about maybe trying to set up a separate meeting with you just to kind of look at where we're at with some stuff, and from your perspective, what you would see, and even being involved in that industry, because reality is, there's again, even even the types of crimes, but, the police departments could be victimized as well as city council and stuff that's happened. So the police need to be aware of protecting our own data banks and servers and information. But then again, investigating businesses that are hacked and those types of things that you may have some experience or knowledge about too, that could be useful, and even setting up some of these committees and training programs and stuff to sort of see where, as a layperson, I'm not, I'm good with overseeing the investigations as far as collecting evidence and admissibility and all that sort of stuff, but the technical part of it, I certainly wouldn't be capable of doing those
I'm
investigations.
good
So,
at translating technical stuff into human consumable. Yeah, so, yeah. be
okay,
good.
we will talk.
Thank you. Well, can we pass a motion now to accept the chief's report? I need a mover. Jane, seconder. Devin, all in favor? Okay, the next item is the financial report. I think the chief is going to walk us through it. You have a copy of it?
Yeah, it's part of it's more geared towards more geared towards the budget presentations for the upcoming year, but we've also been having semi-regular meetings with the CFO, Chris Jury, for the city. Again, very, very similar to the previous years. There is some expenses that continue to just be increasing in cost for us, especially around the investigative portions of things. And with the officer shortages, incurring more overtime than we would like to, but we're still sitting very good. Just kind of going on memory because I had the information on another sheet, but we should be at around 83 or 84% of the budget expended to this point in the year, and we've expended 82%. So we're still slightly under budget for what we spent. So I think we're in pretty good shape. We just, we've kind of stabilized some of the staffing issues where we're trying to minimize the amount of overtime we're incurring, and we've had some fairly significant. We didn't incur the investigational expenses. We had reviewed them and then had a discussion with the Crown that, to have this, for example, we had a statement that was taken in French that was going to have to be, because you still need the original transcribed. So the statement in French was going to have to be transcribed in French and then translated into transcription into English. So it's going to be $8,000 or $9,000 for one statement to be transcribed. So, we reached out to the Crown and came to some kind of a compromise on that, so that it wasn't a significant cost to the department and eating up budget for transcribing 3 or 4 other statements. So they're still expensive, but that was going to be exorbitant for us. So we continue to kind of monitor those things. Again, you've got to weigh the seriousness and that of the file too, and how crucial that statement would be. And then, at times we would probably have to bite the bullet and do that. But the Crown has been reasonable with some of these requests for us to say, like, this is just costing us too much money to do, and has been agreeable to the compromise. So again, all for the point, I guess, to say that we're being pretty budget conscious, especially the last couple of months, just making sure that pretty tight rein on the budget. It's not going over.
A couple of questions, actually. Why is the prisoner maintenance recovery so low this year?
There's a couple of reasons for that. One, we're not a lot of that is based on provincial prisoners, so that's not Nelson Police Department prisoners. So they're prisoners that have already been before JP and either remanded in custody. Oftentimes we were taking prisoners from the RCMP and housing them for them. Court is another big one where prisoners are coming to town, showing up for court. A lot of that is really trickled off, and there's potentially a couple of reasons for that. They seem to be doing more video appearances at times, unless it's for trial or something like that. We also raised some concerns with the province at the risk of the department has and the risk of injury or death that you always take on when you have prisoners in cells. And reality is, and it's not captured here, but I've talked to Chris Jury about it a few times, and we presented to the city, and then I'm just trying to remember if that was at a council meeting or if it was just in a meeting with like Kevin and Chris, but just discussing that there's a scheme that the department is paid per prisoner per stay here, and it's a bit of a sliding scale, but and that's spread across the entire province, so it's not a set rate, and the more prisoners that everybody houses, the less we get paid per prisoner. So what's not captured is the extra cost that the department incurs every time we house a prisoner, between meals and extra staff and taking prisoners up to the hospital and having members tied up there. So it's not an apples and oranges number. Like we've lost some of the revenue that was generating, but we've also saved, I would say, a significant amount of costs that come along with housing prisoners. So it's a little harder to capture that because oftentimes we do it with members that are working, but we were running into quite a few occasions where we were having to call members in on overtime to either deal with prisoners, or a member was tied up dealing with prisoners and we'd get a significant call or two or several calls and then have to call somebody in overtime. So.
And I just had one other question just about the CSO line here. Is that an error, or like was it not? I just don't understand why there's a blank in the 2024 budget line there. I actually don't understand what's going on with the CSO wage there at all in that line.
Yeah, that's I had that question too. Totally have a chance to follow up with Chris, but that was a bit of a separate line item that was being paid out of the city budget for this year.
Okay.
So
That's right.
but I'm not sure why there's, a number in one box and then not another box. So I'll just have to follow up on that. But I know this year they budgeted for that to be paid out of.
That's right. Or not general revenues, but that.
But isn't that for 2023, the line?
From the city
Yeah,
budget?
Just on operations, I think, operations CSO.
Yeah, it's not general revenues, but
It looks to me like.
they have extra money in
Yeah,
there.
no,
Right?
it's
So
probably
it's spent $2,000, so
probably in our
that's why
budget.
the next blank. That's what I figured.
Yeah.
Like, we do have a protection that if we don't have a
So
slush
it
fund,
ends up in an
Yeah.
empty column, but they spent
don't
$2,000.
I wish?
Yeah.
I like the regional district.
You have a question, Jane?
I do. I have a couple. So on that police prisoner recovery amount, I know that there was a CBC article today about the Indigenous woman who died in custody, and then the recommendation that came out of that was that they need 24/7 supervision, surveillance, or supervision while in cells.
That's been our argument, because when I was
Well,
with the
I know.
RCMP, we had dedicated guards, and that
Yeah.
was their only duty. And really here, the dispatchers do it via camera while they're answering 911 calls and general admin line calls and helping people at the front counter. And it's just, it's a recipe for disaster. Like, somebody's gonna get hurt or injured or die in cells, and there's going to be an inquiry about that. There's likely going to be a lawsuit from the family. Like there's just, again, it's part of the business. We can't get out of having prisoners, but we do try to minimize the amount of time prisoners are in our cells when we can. And depending on the prisoner and assessment of, the risk factors involved with them, at times we call an extra person in to strictly monitor prisoners, and especially once you get more than one or two prisoners, you really should have a dedicated person doing that. And ultimately, as per that article, you should have a dedicated person doing that and have that as their sole function, not on the side of their desk doing 10 other things where, it could get busy and all of a sudden you're distracted and miss something.
Yeah, all that to say that it hit at home what you've been talking about for a long time. And I went, oh, that's exactly
Yeah.
the point you've been making. So thank you for that. And then the other thing is the other admin expenses, police admin, 261% of the budget. Can you remind me what other admin expenses, police admin line item is?
So there's a couple of police admins. I'm trying to find the one.
Yes, the third one down in the expenses.
That was last year.
You're
though.
talking
Last year.
2023 then,
You're
huh?
looking at
Yeah, they got it
2023.
backwards.
Yeah.
Oh, they've got it right. Okay. Never mind.
I didn't even see the other copy.
Sorry
For
about
whatever
that.
reason, I'm still missing it some, but
It's the third line under expenses.
2023.
But it's not 261, that was last year, it's 76%, so.
Right, I was reading it wrong and I was thinking it was this year. Apologies, thank you.
Okay, well, we don't have to pass a motion or anything on that report, so thank you.
Actually, Lena, we do have to,
We
my
do?
fault,
It
yeah.
doesn't say so.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, all right. So we do have to pass a motion to accept the financial report that was presented. Moved by Eric, seconded by Jane. All in favor? Right, moving right along. Deputy Chief, I know you've written a report too, but I like a, verbal presentation as well. You're on. It's a good reminder, and then you can also, add to it a little bit, yeah.
Just the operational update, I'll just let you know, it was 588 calls last month, October. Continue with our patrol priorities. Patrol priorities was school zone enforcement, as well as Hendricks Park. We had a complaint from the neighbors on Vernon Street that there was issues at Hendricks Park, so we upped the patrol priority up there to show the members check on day shift and night shift.
That's the one across from the co-op, right?
Yeah.
It's actually it's a lease, it's a rented, it's rented, somebody has a lease on that property.
Oh,
It's not city property.
It's city property, it's city property. I'm giving it the wrong description, Matt, I'm sorry. There's a name, like, it's kind of, just consider it kind of like a lease.
I had no idea.
Is it the business owner? Yes, okay, thank you.
Dispatch, sorry.
Yep, sir.
Dispatch recruitment continues. We'll be doing interviews later this month. Restorative Justice, Barb's still working on the relaunch of the program. She's meeting the volunteers. She met with them last night. Victim Services, they're continuing the break and enter program, to notify commercial and residential break and enters. Have that pamphlet on our website's up. So that's on our website now. And then the community safety officer, CSO, continues with the body of work and kind of see the graphics there in regards to the numbers. And we start our first annual Youth Police Academy on Saturday. I'll run for the month of November.
Nice. How many youth did you get? 12? That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Great. Any questions for the deputy?
No, but if you don't mind, Chair, just so that both of you are aware, and I'm sure you are, but the civic forfeiture, and I'm thinking of you, Deputy Chief, because most of these things kind of that you've just described in your report fall more under your purview. Civil forfeiture grants open on October the 28th and close on December the 9th. And so whether or not there's any interest in applying for any money, one, to fund some of these programs. Now that there's a CSO, we've gone through this before, where whether or not we could actually fund the job, but I think that there could be funding for the programs. I still think there could be funding for the job. I read through all of the applicants from 2023, and it's a real variety, and they are paying salaries for people for different things, but perhaps there's some money in there. And then, of course, obviously for restorative justice, they have 4 criteria in which you apply to get funding. And I think that there's the potential there to get funding from more than one area. And just going back, I haven't seen any funding that's gone to the city of Nelson in general for any of their programs. A lot of the money's gone to the bigger centers, but Castlegar and Trail over the years have managed to trigger some civil forfeiture money.
I think our restorative justice program has also received money.
Yeah.
from that.
Yeah, maybe in the past. I just went through the last couple of
Yeah.
years, but
Yeah,
so
so.
if they need a refresh on money, but I'm sort of thinking about this police academy funding, but I still think that I think a well-written grant, might actually even fund that CSO position. But I just wanted to bring that up because that is just basically open and it does go until December the 9th. So there is a bit of a window there to potentially put something in.
Yeah, that's a really good reminder. But, I'm just wondering, it takes a lot of time to write up those proposals. So, again, if there's anybody who needs help or whatever, maybe board members can help with that. Putting it together.
I definitely was looking into it. The 15,000 I was looking for equipment for the CSO, as well as researching CCTV and seeing the areas that we can put CCTV cameras up in high area crime areas. So I think that was gonna be something that's gonna have to go through the PIA with the city. So, and it was a limit of 15,000.
When I went through, some people got grants up to $140,000. Like, it's interesting to go back through and see how much programs have gone.
Maybe I read the wrong report that I got, because I got a copy of the report.
Yeah, I just went through and it's like you go to Civic, they actually have a little website. I can send you the link. I had 5 minutes the other day and it intrigued me, and the link came from the letter that I got back from when I was at UBCM, speaking with the Public Safety and Solicitor General's office. This is where you go because I keep hammering him on the civic forfeiture funds, and so he sent the link and apply when it's get open and get on, and it says get on the mailing list so we can tell you when it is. And I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to go to the link, and I opened it like 2 days ago, and sure enough, October the 28th was the day that the applications open. So perhaps we're talking about two different.
And it's just a little window, right?
Well, it's always a little window, yeah.
And those applications too, like you can be creative and like you have to answer them skillfully so that when they're going through the, applications, it's easy if you answer directly to the questions. And so you can be a little bit creative. People who have worked for nonprofits and we have had to depend on grants, we learn these little tricks. So,
anyways, that was just for information.
Are you at the end of your report there?
Yeah, that's the easy.
Anybody have any more questions or suggestions? No? Okay. So we move that the Deputy Chief's Constable's report be accepted as presented. I need a mover. Got that? Thank you. All in favor? There's too many hands going up.
I think there should be like one person who always moves and the other person always seconds. Just for
Sometimes
efficiency.
I just look at, and make sure that Shiloh gets them, so they don't have to repeat their names. Because sometimes there's more than one putting there. Okay, so moving right along, I think the next item is Director's Report. And this is where we do the HR Committee report. I think there is a note that was attached, but if one of the members wants to present and fill us in, that'll be helpful.
I'm happy to, unless Eric, you
Go for
have
it.
a burning desire to speak.
I think you're good.
I just assumed somebody was the chair of that committee. No, do you have a chair? No?
Not really. We're a flat organization. The committee.
Well, as long as everybody's working, sometimes when you have it that flat, nobody takes the lead.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so it came to our attention in the HR committee that there hadn't been a formal performance review completed of the chief. And although many informal check-ins have been done. And so we needed to develop a performance evaluation, and the one that has been last used in the past, we felt needed to be updated and aligned with our strategic goals. And Shiloh generously put it out to all the other departments, asking them for what their performance reviews are. And we got a couple of responses back. And in fact, at the time that we met, we only got a couple. The Surrey and the Transit Police, like the Lower Mainland Transit Police. And we all felt that the Surrey Police Services evaluation tool was one that we wanted to build upon ourselves and customize to our needs. And so where we're at now is that Chief Fisher is going to review the Surrey document and identify, any redundancies or things that we don't feel need to be in there, and let Eric and I know by mid-November, November 15th. And then we're going to update that evaluation tool and then have that new evaluation tool for review by everybody at the December meeting.
Okay, and I think at the December meeting, we'll have our first double, what do you call it?
In camera.
Double in camera meeting, and that is one item, there are certain rules as to what we can discuss in those meetings, and definitely the evaluation one is appropriate for that, so that, we can all freely give our input without the chief sitting in the room. Making him uncomfortable, all right? And also then the board can feel good about their feedback, and so we'll do that in December.
I think there may be an opportunity for a little piece of it to be in the public meeting, so the public is aware of what we're looking at. But when we get to the pieces that make sense to have a conversation without the chief in the room, and yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's a good idea too, to at least talk about the process in the public meeting.
Yeah.
So the public will know.
Yeah.
That we are on top of it. All right, thank you. Any questions of Jane or Eric?
Just a quick one. I'm assuming that you would be including the process in terms of like schedule, like when they're done, how often, sort of stuff as a part of this.
Yes, we'll discuss like recommendations for doing it annually, for example, and then pick a date of when that needs to be done. Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. So on to the next one, new business, police board meeting calendar. That's been attached. So we just hope everybody had a chance to look at it. But sometime, mostly either the second Wednesday, occasionally it might be the first Wednesday. But we need to pass a motion to accept the calendar as presented. And I have a mover and a Devin and Eric. All in favor? Eric. Right. At the end of the meeting here, we move that the regular meeting before we adjourned, and the next meeting will be held on December 3rd. Seven and that. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.